everybody, and welcome, one and all, to a very special episode of Nerdy for 30. It's our 2022 Oscars preview. Tim, are you as excited as I am?
Tim, I almost called you Tim. I got so excited. I was so nervous. I can't wait.
Stoked.
This is the most exciting podcast we've ever done. Boy, the hits keep rolling. This is like a greatest hits of all of our podcasts, looking back on the year, remembering everything, and giving out awards, baby. We need that validation.
We need it. They need it. They're looking to us. Hollywood stops until we give out these awards. And then, and only then, can it keep moving forward, knowing who we gave, I almost said attribution, credits to.
Praise, awards,
praise, prestige,
validation,
all that good shit. Oh my God.
Everything.
Gang, we're going to be going through all your favorite Oscars categories. Not all the categories, just your favorite ones. Just the good shit. And we're picking who we think should win the title. Now, we are not nominating all movies that were released in 2021. We're restricting this. So this is just going to be movies that we have covered on the podcast so far. Just crossed our 50th episode off the list. So, we got 50 movies, TV shows to pick from as far back as the 80s. We've covered a lot of shit here.
I will be nominating Lethal Weapon for every category tonight.
And it will be winning everything. All right.
Clean sweep from Lethal Weapon. Did you guys listen to the 2022 Oscars podcast from Nerdy for 30?
Yeah,
Lethal
it was
Weapon
3 minutes long.
25 awards Lethal Weapon did. The first one from 1989.
Oh, man. Tim, before we get started, anything else you want to add about these?
Do I want to add to it? We're the participation award generation, like we got an award and an honor just for showing up. And I don't want people to listening to this podcast to think these guys they made up a bunch of awards. They're just giving them out willy nilly. This was really thought out. They deserve these. Like these were all earned. No one is just getting an award for showing up. OK, they not only showed up, they brought it. Right. So just keep that in mind. When we go on, these are deserving people with deserving awards. Good. It's all great. I'm excited, Kevin. Let's light this candle, baby.
All right. Let's go ahead and roll into our first category. It is Best Actor. You know it. You love it. Let's start off strong with the Best Actor category. We're getting right to the meat and potatoes here. And the nominees are Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, Black Widow and Hawkeye. John Cena as Peacemaker in The Suicide Squad and HBO's Peacemaker. Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home. Tony Leung as Wenwu in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And McKenna Grace as Phoebe in Ghostbusters Afterlife. Tim, what are your noms?
Were those really your nominations? Those were all the ones you came up with? Yeah. You didn't look at my list at all?
Did we have the same nominations?
That was exactly my list.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I want to show you my screen right now. Tony Liu, Florence Pugh, John Cena, Andrew Garfield, McKenna Grace. I also had Kate Winslet, which was a podcast you were not on.
Oh, yes. I haven't seen. It's one of our most listened to episodes, and I have not seen the show and was not a part of it. Oh, good God.
I was shook. I was like, there's no way you got these. Andrew Garfield, honestly, the McKenna Grace is where you shook me because I was like, there's no way he's got this one. I'm going to stump him with this one. She was so amazing. She's my front runner for this. I got to be honest. She was maybe the only actor this year where I was like, holy shit, this person is a star. Like this is a star making performance. The only other person that came close for me was Kate Winslet, which I feel bad about because you weren't on that podcast. It's something you haven't seen.
Sure.
But Mayor of Easttown, I mean, I'm telling you, I had no idea who this Kate Winslet person was.
Oh my God.
I saw Mayor of Easttown and I was like, oh my God, is Kate Winslet the greatest actor of all time? Like she might be. She could legitimately be the greatest actor ever. But that's what Mayor of Easttown walked away. So like those two stood out to me so hard. Andrew Garfield, I think really shined in Spider-Man. I think it was a redeeming performance for him. Mm-hmm. I think he's established himself as maybe the best actor of the Spider-Men, depending on what you want to go with. But he went from the most hated maybe one of the most hated Marvel characters or actors to like a favorite. I would see a new Spider-Man from him tomorrow. Like, I can't wait. So,
oh my God,
Kevin,
for sure.
what are you thinking about this? Best actor. What's your thoughts?
He got a second chance. I think that's how he turned it around. It's like this dude loved being Spider-Man so much, and he got dealt a really shitty hand. And I don't think he ever thought he was going to have another chance to come back to this role. And then it presented itself, and he fucking swung for the fences. But here's the thing that has this as a horse race for me. Everybody else on this list, Florence Pugh, John Cena, Tony Leung, these are established actors. We have seen them do a lot of stuff. We know what they are capable of. McKenna Grace blew both of us away. And this is a kid. She is a kid. Like, I mean, I think she's what, like 15, but still, like, I couldn't fucking act like she did in Ghostbusters Afterlife when I was 15. It's impressive as hell.
No, she is also relatively established, though. Like, she's been in things that I wasn't fully aware of. I'm pretty confident, even though I don't really remember from where. Wasn't she in Malignant, which we covered on our podcast as well?
She was in fucking Malignant?
It's popping up on her thing, on her little
God.
bio. She was in Captain Marvel. She was in I, Tonya, The Handmaid's Tale, Annabelle Comes. She was on Young Sheldon. She was in Gifted, which is an ideal nominee for a category we have coming up. But she's been in things. She's been around. This is like my first time really noticing her. And I sat up and was like, this girl is amazing. She is phenomenal.
I do want to give a quick shout out as well to Tony Leung, because like Wenwu,
yes,
of the characters on this list too, Wenwu is the only one that is not a protagonist and is a character that easily, like, villains are pretty frequently the most boring character in a Marvel movie. And everybody walked away from that movie saying Wenwu was great. Like, they did such a good job in the villain on this one. He's easily in the top tier of Marvel villains. Yeah, I mean, not having seen Mare of Easttown, for me, this is a fight between Andrew Garfield, Tony Leung, and McKenna Grace.
I also want to show some support for Tony Leung. He's amazing. He's great in that movie. And you're right. He's the only villain on here. Shang-Chi, I just rewatched it this weekend. It's so good. And part of the reason it's so good is because the main antagonist is an incredibly sympathetic figure who I'm not necessarily convinced is like a really bad guy. You know, it's not black and white with him. He was a goon kinda and like wanted power, and he puts all that away for love. Then his love's taken from him. He goes to that dark place. At the end, he has like a redeeming moment where he saves his son. It's like, it's great, but they're having all these great conversations, and I don't know. He's so good. I don't think we've talked enough about Florence Pugh. She stole the show in a movie that was begging for somebody to steal the show or even just show up for the show. She was crushing it. Mm-hmm. I mean, Florence Pugh is another person who's like on my radar. I feel like maybe it's like Pugh or McKenna Grace for me, but I think it's for both of us. It's McKenna Grace. I feel like she's
McKenna Grace.
I think she's our best actor this year.
Are we ready to award it officially?
I'd say let's give it to her. Let's award it.
Best actor goes to McKenna Grace as Phoebe in Ghostbusters Afterlife. Oh, congratulations to her. Man, that was a tough one.
That was a tough category. I mean, God, a lot of big names in there. Yeah. And she beat them all out, but I think it's deserving. I think it's very well deserving. Did you think, starting this podcast, that we would be seeing the best actor performance coming from Ghostbusters Afterlife?
No. And, I'm going to circle back to that for another one of our categories later. I think you might know what it is. Yes. But first off, let's get to best fight scene. The nominees are the lawn fight from the end of Lethal Weapon, Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin from Spider-Man No Way Home, the police station scene in Malignant, and Peacemaker and Bloodsport Show Off from The Suicide Squad. Tim, what were your noms?
Wow. I didn't have any of those, but I think you're right with all of them. I think those are all great. I was once again on the Shang-Chi bandwagon. The fight at the end between Shang-Chi and his dad I thought was great with the rings. There's just so much symbolism in there. It's like not the best choreography. It's like it's not the most intense action scene ever, but the storytelling they do through the choreography, I think, puts it on the level of like this is an awesome fight scene. Shang-Chi bus fight, very cool. I don't think it's as good as the final fight scene, but it's worth a shout out. I was really like debating if there was a fight scene in the Eternals that warranted this, and I don't think so. It's kind of crazy there isn't.
But that's kind of the thing about that movie.
It's just not that kind of movie. The fight scenes at the end are cool. I don't think it's in the same category. We did King Kong versus Godzilla. It was one of our first podcasts we did. There's a scene where King Kong chops Mechagodzilla with an axe made from Godzilla, powered by Godzilla's breath, in like the rubble of Tokyo. I can't believe that's not up there for us. I don't know if it's a winner for me either, but it's cool. The Kate and Florence Pugh fight in Hawkeye, where they're fighting in the hallway. Oh,
fuck yeah, that was
going
really
back
good
and forth. I don't think it's like necessarily the best fight, but it's like it made me so excited. I was so pumped about it. It was so fun. Again, from a story standpoint, I think it's up there. I think the biggest surprise of the best fight scene is that the Batman is not in it.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's nothing in the Batman that is worthy of a big fight scene. And best actor, best fight scene, the Batman's getting stiffed. I think that says a lot about what we both think about the Batman as a movie. But
I mean, dude, nothing like the Batman, Robert Pattinson taking down a bunch of like disillusioned internet trolls is not nearly as good as anything you just listed. It's not nearly as good as, I mean, the fucking Peacemaker and Bloodsport, that scene was so much fucking fun, but I think I'm going to knock it out of the running here because the people they were fighting didn't know they were being fought. So it was like fun assassinations, but it was like a murder off. Like they were fighting each other, but through killing other people. I thought
you were talking about their showdown.
No, their showdown was also sick when the bullets bounced off each other.
Bullet through the bullet?
No, I was talking about them going through the village and just murdering people.
Oh, that might be my favorite one. That's what you're talking about? I think that wins. I know it's not like a fight scene.
The one I just said, I'm taking out of the running. But it was so good.
It's so cool. It's so awesome. It's one of my favorite things that I've seen. And it's so funny. And the punchline is great. And they're competing with each other. I mean, it's just a great scene. It's the best their chemistry is in the whole thing. It tells a story. It's like, it's great. I mean, you're right. It's not like a traditional mano-a-mano fight scene. It's a game. It's a contest where they just slaughter a bunch of people. I mean, I don't know.
In that spirit, that's why I think I want to award it to Spider-Man versus Green Goblin and Spider-Man No Way Home, because of the fight scenes that we've listed, that was the only one that had me cringing in my seat. When the Green Goblin body slams him through like 5 floors of a building, my jaw was on the fucking ground. I could not believe how violent that scene was in a Spider-Man movie. Like it really took me off guard. It was incredible.
Again, you said Spider-Man versus Green Goblin. I'm thinking about like the end of the movie with the Tobey Maguire catch and just like how brutal Spider-Man was to the Green Goblin at that point.
I should have specified that. No, I'm talking about basically.
But you're right. But they're both right, because like in the first one, you're talking about that scene that scarred me forever, watching the Green Goblin just brutalize Spider-Man.
Mm.
And that was great. I mean, that's so cool. And it really sets the tone for the whole rest of the movie. That's the turning point where everything gets out of control, where Spider-Man's like, I'm fucked. That's where his aunt dies. That's where like everything goes wrong for him. And it makes the end of the movie that much better, because at the end, when he's beating the crap out of the Green Goblin and like, you're like, oh, Spider-Man is finally letting loose. And then he has to learn to rein it in, because that's like the story of Spider-Man, is he's like so much stronger than he lets on. It just, man, just like just a complete story from that. I mean, that's great. That's really good too. It's great.
It's where we get that line, strong enough to have it all, too weak to take it. Like that's in that fight scene. Yeah.
I'm going to buy that movie tonight and rewatch it after this podcast. I'm so excited about it.
Fucking same. Are we down to lock it in?
Well, let's lock it in.
Best fight scene. Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin hallway fight from Spider-Man No Way Home. Incredible. All right. A lot of applause for that one because I forgot to turn off the recording. So there we go.
That one gets extra applause. People are going wild.
Next up is Best Sound. That's right, Best Sound. This is the award for the best sound that we heard in any of the shows and movies we covered this year. And the nominees are Arby shooting through the space cow in HBO's Peacemaker.
Activate human torpedo.
What?
Incredible. Ivan's ooze from 1995's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Well, meet my kids.
The pause before McKenna Grace delivers the line, okay, in Ghostbusters Afterlife. The saxophone from Lethal Weapon.
I thought you were going to have a clip.
I did have the clip.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then Paul Walker clowning on Vin Diesel in The Fast and the Furious.
What are you smiling about? Dude, I almost had you.
We also had a couple nominees from Tim that are full-on songs that I cannot put in here. Otherwise, this podcast will immediately be ripped from the internet. They are the soundtrack from HBO's Peacemaker, the Power Rangers theme song, Fire in the Sky from the soundtrack to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and the Mortal Kombat theme from Mortal Kombat. Tim, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking these are all great. I mean, God. Okay. The Ghostbusters line is one of my favorite things this year. And one of the reasons why McKenna Grace is like a best actor quality. Yeah. I wrote it down. I just watched it before this to read it down. It's like one of my favorite jokes all year is he's like recording her. And the line is like, podcast, are you recording me? Oh no, McKenna Grace is like, are you recording me? And podcast goes, yeah, just in case your body is pulled apart into tiny pieces by an unseen dark force. Pause. And then she goes, all right, bye. I don't know. I rewatched that scene like 5 or 6 times. I was just like, God, the delivery from both of them, the picture, the image in the background of her standing in front of this like horrible, like dark mansion. I mean, it's such a good joke. It's like perfect delivery. It's amazing. Peacemaker. We talked about the soundtrack in Peacemaker, the intro song to Peacemaker. If we're talking songs, you know, that's great. Again, heavily dependent on the visual for that. So that's something. The Power Rangers, Ivan's Ooze, my favorite sound from there. The soundtrack for Power Rangers is stacked. I don't know if you remember the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. You got Journey. You got, who else is in there? Red Hot Chili Peppers. There's like all kinds of bangers in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers soundtrack that like just bring you back to that time in your life. So that's a banger too. My front runner right now, I still think it's Adebayo shooting through the space cow. It's so funny. I mean, just hearing the sound clip, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. It's so good. I mean, the visual, it was maybe my favorite joke in that whole show, which is one of my favorite shows of the year. It's incredible. It's so good.
It was really good. I do want to show a lot of love to the saxophone from Lethal Weapon because it's amazing. Like, it adds so much to this movie to just have this like weird, like guilty sax just coming in and dirtying things up for a little bit and then getting on out of there. Like, we add so much to the character of Murtaugh just from like this like sad, beleaguered saxophone player.
And it tells so much. The saxophone, it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I forget what my take was on the podcast, but like, you know, for Murtaugh, it reminds him how old he was. For Mel Gibson, it's like him thinking about his dead wife. And then sometimes it's like sexy music, you know, and sometimes it's like they just use the same saxophone in like so many different ways. It's incredible. And it's Kenny G too, I'm pretty sure.
That's Incredible. I mean, there's only one way to
Incredible.
go into there. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with you. I'm down to lock it in. The best sound this year is Adebayo shooting through the space cow in HBO's Peacemaker. Let's hear it again.
Activate human torpedo.
There's so much to love there.
Oh,
So much to love.
Some would say too much to love.
John
It's a
Cena's
long
delivery, her whoa, the mask powering up, flying through the air, and the squish of entering a big juicy space cow.
Oh, and the
Incredible.
slop. Damn. All right. Well, it's time for another fun one. This is Best Benedict. It's time for the hardest fought category of all, where we decide who had the best year between Benedict Cumberbatch and Benedict Wong. And the nominees are Benedict Cumberbatch and Benedict Wong. I'll tell you right now. Look, these guys were in most of the same movies. Benedict Cumberbatch was in Power of the Dog or whatever. I have not seen that.
No, it's receiving real Oscar buzz. It's like in the best picture category. I think he's best actor in that. But Wong was in Shang-Chi.
Wong was in Shang-Chi and beat the Abomination in that. Everybody in the trailer thought that Wong was going to be getting his ass handed to him. He beats the Abomination. He shows up in the post-credit scene. He's talking about all kinds of stuff. And we figure out that during the blip, he won the title of Sorcerer Supreme based on a technicality. Nobody thought Wong was going to be Sorcerer Supreme. I mean, come on. You got to give it to him.
I saw some TikTok or something today where they were talking about the first Doctor Strange movie and how Wong doesn't laugh at any of Doctor Strange's jokes until Doctor Strange is appointed the Sorcerer Supreme, and then Wong laughs at his jokes because he's the boss. Like at the end of the movie, he'll laugh at them. And then in Spider-Man, Wong is like, doesn't have time for Doctor Strange and isn't laughing at any of his stuff anymore. He's like, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme now. I've got stuff to do. I don't have time for your bullshit. And it's just like such a power move. Their dynamic in that movie is correct. The new Sorcerer Supreme is Wong. The winner is he's obviously the winner.
Yeah, that's it. It's Benedict Wong, ladies and gentlemen. I have the same sound
Well-deserved.
cues for this whole thing, so I hope they're hitting because they're going to be around. All right, that was a fast one. Next up, this is one that Tim has wanted to do as like a standalone podcast for a long time. You can consider this kind of a backdoor pilot of sorts. This is Best Trailer, Worst Movie. Tim, do you want to set up kind of the mechanics of how this one works?
Sure. So I think there's a couple different ways you can play it. But if you're making like an XY graph, and X is how good the trailer is and Y is how good the movie is, it's basically the farthest distance between those 2 points, which is usually like the trailer is like so good. You're like, I can't wait to see this movie. This trailer looks amazing. And then you get in there and you're just like, this is absolute garbage. I can't believe this movie was so bad. So McKenna Grace is in a movie called Gifted that I would encourage everyone to look at, watch the trailer. I feel like it's a great movie trailer. And I watched the movie. It's not a good movie. It's her and Chris Evans. He's like her uncle. She's super smart. It's perfect for a 3-minute glimpse, but then the movie is like a real slog. So that's kind of the spirit of the category. Best trailer, worst movie, Kevin.
Right on. Well, my nominees are Mortal Kombat from 2021, The Army of the Dead, The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, and Halloween Kills. How about you, Tim?
Ooh, I had Army of the Dead, I think, is a front runner for me. The movie, media movie. It's a very media movie. The trailer for it is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good trailer. I forget the song, the music's playing. They're in slow motion. Everyone's shooting guns. This trailer is legit good. The question is Army of the Dead bad enough to win this category? Because the trailer is top tier. Did you say Halloween Kills? Was that another one?
Sure
you
did.
had?
Yes.
Bad movie. Not a good movie, pretty good trailer. It's
Right.
a pretty good trailer. I don't know if it's the best trailer, but it does have every cool moment that is in the movie is in the trailer, which is another big trope of this category too, is when you watch the trailer and you've seen the movie. Uncharted, I thought maybe in this category for trailer, making it look kind of cool and fun. Movie kind of bad. I think they're pretty much the same, but it is a good example of like, if you've seen the trailer for Uncharted, you've seen Uncharted, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's the same movie. Boba Fett was another one I was thinking about. There were trailers out for Boba Fett. Boba Fett, absolutely terrible show. Trailer, I would say, is not good. The trailer was also not good for Boba Fett. I think Spencer sent it to us like, can't wait for Boba Fett. And I was like, I can wait, because this trailer is not convincing me of anything. He's going to be sitting at tables and people are going to be asking him like, what, like the final, like the end of the trailer that I watched for Boba Fett was like him sitting on the throne. And the person who's with him all the time being like, you know, if you spoke to Jabba that way, you'd be fed to the Rancor. And then Boba Fett goes, speak freely. And that's the end of the trailer. Like, that's supposed to make us see this show because the previous guy in charge was way more intimidating and interesting than Boba Fett. So he's bringing free speech and like a quality government to the, like, what is he trying to fucking do? I mean, it's garbage. It's a garbage trailer for a garbage show. The dichotomy is not good enough to make it a best trailer, worst movie.
Yeah.
I think, Kevin, I have the winner here.
Ooh.
I'm shocked you didn't mention it.
Ooh.
The Matrix Resurrections.
Oh.
That trailer in the theater had my blood boiling, my heart pumping. White Rabbit is playing, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's awesome. We were all like, this is going to be great. When I first heard about The Matrix, that was a turn to your friend and be like, yo, this movie. And it dropped a deuce. This is as good a trailer and as bad a movie, I think, as you get, or at least we've covered on this podcast, Kev.
I think you nailed it right there because, like you said, Army of the Dead was, at the end of the day, like pretty watchable. Matrix Resurrections was easily in like the bottom 5 of the movies we talked about this year. Oh man, yeah, you nailed it. I'm willing to give it to her right there. Best trailer, worst movie goes to The Matrix Resurrections.
Well deserved.
They're sad because they had to think about The Matrix Resurrections again. I'm sorry.
Wait, is all the music you're playing, does it all start with an aw?
No, just that one. All right, we're halfway through. So let's take you now to the Arby's Biggest Beef Award. Now, our listeners know that we have a lot of beefs on this podcast, but if it's beef you want, take you out your headphones and head on over to Arby's, where you can get a classic beef and cheddar for just $3.99. A double helping of beef topped with creamy cheddar cheese sauce and zesty red ranch, all on a toasted onion roll.
But that's not all, Kevin. Sign up for Arby's email list at arbys.com and you can get 50% off any sandwich on your next order. Any sandwich. Wow. That sounds like a good deal. That's a delicious classic beef and cheddar for just $1.99. Double the beef for half the price, only at Arby's.
That's right, Tim. Nerdy for 30 may have the beefs, but Arby's has the meats.
Wow. Pretty cool. What's your favorite thing about Arby's, Kevin?
I went there one time when I was a kid. My grandpa bought me a cherry turnover. And I really enjoyed the cherry turnover. You know, I think it was mostly the time with my grandpa that I was enjoying. But it was a nice little moment. The turnover was great. And the Arby's in my hometown never really remodeled for decades after that. So it was like I could go back into the 90s and re-experience that moment anytime I wanted to. How about you?
I remember growing up meeting my dad, you know, on those nice days you had off school and mom would take us to meet up with my dad for like lunch, you know, for work. And we'd hit up the Arby's. My dad always got the classic roast beef. He'd put Arby's on one, like on the top bun, and I think ketchup on the bottom bun. And that was like his little Arby's setup. And so I started doing that like my dad. And then after a while, I realized that there were better things on the menu. And that was kind of like a weird growing up moment, you know, like maybe dad isn't right about everything. Maybe, you know, our elders don't actually know what's best for us. Maybe all of us are just trying to figure this out and nobody really has their shit together. So, I guess I'm reminded of that every time I think about Arby's, my own mortality, and And let's get to biggest beefs.
Yeah, biggest beefs.
What did you think of
that we had this year? My nominees for the biggest beef are number 1, Red Guardian never fights Taskmaster in Black Widow. Number 2, we never see Free City 2 in Free Guy. Number 3, the Power Rangers knockoff Cyber Teens in Boba Fett. And number 4, literally everything in Book of Boba Fett. What were yours, Tim?
Kevin? Those were all spot on. Huge big beefs. I have one biggest beef award this year, and it goes to LeBron James. LeBron James is my biggest beef this year. As of our recording tonight, the Lakers are 31-41. They're in the play-in tournament, 9th in the West. Why is that happening? You're asking. Well, because LeBron, played GM. He forced a trade for Russell Westbrook, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, to get Westbrook, who is pulling in a $44 million salary this year, $47 million player option next year. They also had to kick out Alex Caruso, one of their best wing defenders, just to make room for that salary. Unexcusable. Their play on the court has been absolutely terrible. I know he's chasing points this year, wants to get the scoring title. Whatever, LeBron. They're still a losing team. They're not going to make a splash in the playoffs. It's just sad. He's phoning it in. Also, Space Jam. One of the worst things I've ever seen and experienced in my entire life. It is absolutely horrible. It is atrocious. It makes me look at LeBron James differently as a human being. I mean, what a piece of shit this guy is. Why would he take this thing that we all loved and make it worse by putting him in it? It's the most artificial bullshit I've ever seen in my life. He wasn't having fun in it. I wasn't having fun watching it. LeBron James is my nominee for the Arby's Biggest Beef Award.
That's incredible, and I can't believe that I passed over him. Space Jam: A New Legacy was reprehensible, and you don't trade Kyle Kuzma. You don't do it.
Never. That's a reliable 17 points. LeBron, where are you going to get those from?
Oh my God.
KCP was another good defender. Who's going to guard him now, LeBron? What are you going to do? Could have had Buddy Hield, and you just blew that all up.
Dude.
Jesus Christ, LeBron.
Space Jam: A New Legacy was so fucking awful. And I do feel like he squarely should shoulder a lot of the blame for it, because I think his production company was really involved in like all aspects of this. But, I also think he's probably surrounded by yes men. Like, this dude probably is so fucking out of touch with what should be happening and all that. So I want to put the blame more squarely on someone who otherwise is firing on all cylinders and showing that they have such a great situational awareness of the movies they're making. And talk about fucking Black Widow. Now, this is a beef that is taken from my girlfriend, Lauren. On the Black Widow podcast, she dropped the bombshell that we had this character in the movie the whole time whose entire deal is that they can perfectly mimic the fighting techniques of any person that they want to. Separately, in the same movie, we have a character whose entire deal is that he has been in an imaginary pissing contest with Captain America and has wanted so dearly to prove that he could defeat Captain America. Taskmaster had a shield. She already had a shield. Red Guardian was in the same physical location. I can't remember if they like clashed in a small amount at all or if they never even met each other. I think they might not have even met each other. The fact that they didn't use those toys in the toy box and give us that fight scene that Red Guardian has wanted his entire life. I mean, he really got the shaft in that movie. He was one of the more fun characters to watch, and really like nothing happens with him. Not in any way as far as not getting a chance to fight against Captain America, played by Taskmaster. Breaks my fucking heart.
I mean, that's bad. It's bad. It's not good. It's another like Chekhov's gun. It's just more like, why are you bothering with the groundwork if you're not going to bring this home? It's the mithril armor that Baby Yoda wears in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It's like you went through all this setup. Like this was a big plot point. You spent a long time melting down. You've been carrying this spear with you for like 2 seasons. Then you melt down the spear in one of your last moments with your kindred spirits, with your fellow Mandalorians. You have this thing made for your friend. There's this whole story about whether or not you can give it to him. Is he going to take it? If he takes it, that's him turning his back on the Jedi Order. All of this stuff. It's a symbol of your emotional like bond. And then he just shows up and they're like, oh, you're wearing the armor. It's like, F off. It's indestructible armor. Show us how indestructible it is. Do the thing. There's just, God, beefs. What a frustrating way to end part 1 of our podcast, Kevin. I'm so fired up thinking about all these botches and beefs, Kevin. My God.
What do you think is the biggest beef of all time? Did I sway you with my Red Guardian take, or are you still inconsolably mad at LeBron James?
I can't look at LeBron James the same way. I mean, I don't know. Who am I supposed to blame for this Red Guardian thing? Is there a face I can put to this? I can blame like Jon Favreau for the Yoda thing or Boba Fett. Who do we blame for that? Like who's at fault for this? LeBron James is the reason Space Jam 2 happened.
Spaceman
LeBron
2.
James, Spaceman 2. LeBron James made Spaceman 2 because he was in it. It sucked. He's a terrible actor. He made it worse. And the Lakers are not even going to make the playoffs, Kevin. What else? He traded for what? Russell West. We all knew this was a bad idea. And he still pulled the trigger on it. And now he's saying he doesn't have enough help. I mean, this is just like a pathetic dude. Like, fuck off, LeBron. LeBron James. I don't even want to watch you play anymore. If the Lakers won this year, I would feel nothing but anger, rage, upset. I'd be hurt, I think. I'd be hurt. And now he's like, oh, I'm scoring 30 points a game like it matters. Fuck off, dude. Fuck off. I have just real hate for LeBron James now. It's like real animosity towards this guy that I worshipped until 5 years ago.
Tim, I know exactly what it sounded like when you heard that trade was taking place. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Arby's Biggest Beef Award goes to LeBron James for Space Jam: A New Legacy and playing GM in this NBA season.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Good stuff, Kevin.
And ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to the end of the first half of our Oscars 2022 coverage. We knew we were going to go long on this. We had to split this into 2 episodes. But the good news is the second episode is out right now. If you have time to keep going, keep going. If not, catch us again whenever you log back into Spotify, Apple Music, wherever. And hey, while you're at it, leave us a review or send us an email. We still haven't gotten any. I think of either.
I don't think anybody uses email anymore. Yeah. Tweet at us. We don't have a Twitter, but tweet at us if you can.
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll find a way. We'll see it.
We'll find a way.
Oh,
Life finds a way, Kevin.
It sure does. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this first half. We'll catch you on the next one. Until then, stay nerdy.
Bye.
Bye.